Welcome back to Fordham Live. I'm Rebekah Nathan and we've got a really special show for you tonight. It's October, it's getting to that time of year where we're reflecting on 2019, looking back on everything that's happened. So tonight we're going to be focusing on movies that have come out so far in 2019.
Yeah, so tonight we're going to be looking at our picks for the top 5 movies of 2019. There's going to be some controversy, but that is the best part of the show. So of course we have Rebekah here, myself, Nicole, and Magee, the wonderful. I mean, they're all wonderful. My apologies. And then Josh. Josh.
John.
It's John.
It's John.
He's going to be starting us off with our number 1 pick.
All right, so I'm going to be starting off our countdown. So to open up our countdown, we have the number 5 movie, our fifth choice, my fifth choice for this year. So number 5 movie is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which was directed by Quentin Tarantino. It featured a huge ensemble cast of Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, Al Pacino, Dakota Fanning, Austin Butler, had everybody in it. It was set in 1969 LA, and it was a multitude of storylines and a modern fairy tale tribute to the final moments of Hollywood's golden age. So you guys saw this movie, what'd you think of it?
Personally, I was slightly disappointed, only because Quentin Tarantino is known for his elaborate plots, his action, his weird twists, and the climax of the movie is always huge. So when I watched this movie, like, it was fantastic, don't get me wrong, but I was so bored. By the end of it, I was just sort of like, yeah, all right, I just wasted half of my life. But, you know, that's a very controversial opinion, because I know Quentin Tarantino fans, like, this was like their favorite one.
This was my first Tarantino movie, and I thought it was pretty long too. Yeah. But I just thought it was really like visually pleasing to look at. It looked like the way he portrayed the time period was really interesting and cool. And the fact that it was based in history a little bit, and then he changed the ending, I thought that was a really cool touch. But I haven't seen a Tarantino movie up until this point, so.
No, it's still a masterpiece. Quentin Tarantino is an amazing filmmaker. He's an incredible director. Hands down, amazing. But in comparison to Inglourious Basterds, I mean, those of you who have seen Inglourious Basterds, you know that is like the best movie. So going from that and then going to this, you're just sort of, there's a little bit of something that you're left with, wanting more, you know?
But you know what I did love? I love Margot Robbie. I think she's excellent in any movie that she does, and I think she's really proven herself as an actress that can do any genre.
Harley Quinn.
Exactly. I love that they included the kind of the Manson plot line. I was really excited to see that, and I'm glad they included it.
So moving into our number 4 movie. Number 4 is Us, which is a horror film written and directed by Jordan Peele. It was his follow-up to 2017's Get Out, which won him an Oscar for writing. I thought this movie was terrifying. I was a little confused though in the end, just because there was a lot of plot lines and twists that lined up. So I ended up having to look up like an explanation video of it, which I don't know how I really feel about that. Like, if you can't understand the movie from just watching it, like, you know.
That's a really good point. But I think what I will say, I'm just going to come out and say it, I think he's one of the best directors of this generation by far. I think there's no one like him, and I think there aren't any other movies coming out that are like this. We have so many reboots and not super original stuff coming out, but Jordan Peele's doing it.
And he has so many Easter eggs. Like, Get Out, you can watch it like 5, 6, 7 times and still see new things, and I think Us did the same thing. Obviously, it was like a lot to live up to, but I think it did a good job.
I know that you are also, that you really like the horror.
And Jordan Peele's really doing like interesting stuff.
Okay. So compared to, I know you saw Midnight or Midsummer. Which one? You think Us
I think Us was better. I think Midsummer visually was like really pleasing, but the plot left some to be desired.
Okay. Interesting.
So next up, speaking of reboots, we have The Lion King, which was obviously a remake. It was a photorealistic remake of it was a live-action photorealistic remake of the 1994 film of the same name. Had a lot of big names: Donald Glover, Seth Rogen, Billy Eichner, Beyonce. She helped with the soundtrack. This movie actually surpassed Frozen as the highest-grossing animated film of all time. I have mixed feelings on this movie. I'm not the biggest fan of remakes, as we know. I thought that the realism wasn't that real in a way.
Really? The lions didn't have emotions.
Yeah.
They did have emotions, but they look like lions.
Sure, but like, they're not telling the story. There also wasn't a lot of color, like, compared to the original.
You're right. Compared to the original, I mean, I'm all for the original, but just to see, I think I just love the fact that you can see how much technology has come and like how far it has come, and you can see all the different things. And I thought the jungle with Puma and
beautiful.
That was super colorful.
Yeah.
Colorful. And I think the elephant graveyard is supposed to be like dreary and sad and gross. So to me, I thought it was fine. I really like the soundtrack. A lot of people have been saying that they didn't like Beyonce as like their track, and I was like,
wrong.
I thought that it was so good.
Ellen John actually came out and said that the soundtrack was like the disgrace to the original movie, which I mean, like the original movie's always gonna have that like value to it because like it was our childhood, we all grew up with it. But I think like a good thing about remakes is that it brings it into a new generation. So kids that are growing up now will know what The Lion King is.
Well, Walt Disney has like a contract that says they have to make new remakes of the films every generation, so that each of the generation's children have these Disney movies to grow up with. Well, I think it's fantastic because Snow White came out in like 30s, so it's time. But you know,
it's also just weird to think though that like the Lion King that this generation will have is so different from ours, and like that will keep going.
Yeah, I know.
So moving into our number 2 pick, it is The Joker, which recently came out. Psychological thriller film directed by Todd Phillips, with the screenplay written by Scott Silver. It's based on the DC comic characters. It's an origin story set in 1981. People are saying Joaquin Phoenix is like a top pick for Best Actor at the Oscars this year. What do you guys think of this movie?
I am speechless. I loved it so much. I'm not a DC person. I'm Marvel way more, but I've always liked, you know, like the Dark Knight Rises and stuff like that. And I have this friend, and he was 100% adamantly not going to see this movie. He was like, Heath Ledger is the love of my life. Like, I'm not seeing this, and this is a disgrace and all this stuff. And to be fair, Heath Ledger was an incredible Joker. He paved the way. He did an amazing job. But this is a different movie. This is a different Joker. It's a different backstory. So I was like, they're not really the same character. And I think Joaquin Phoenix did an amazing job. Like, it was incredible.
I thought also it was like visually stunning. I went to see it on Film Stock. There's a theater in Midtown where you can like see it on Film Stock, and it really the colors are different, and it's really cool. I would highly recommend that as a viewing.
That's awesome.
And then moving into our number 1 pick, it is obviously Avengers Endgame. This was like the biggest movie ever. It grossed nearly $2.8 billion worldwide, so now it's the highest grossing movie of all time. It took down Avatar's title for that. People praised it for its ensemble cast and its culmination of 22 Marvel movies into one movie for the whole entire franchise. So I thought this movie was great. I'm not like the biggest superhero fan. I've seen the Avengers movies. I haven't seen all the other ones, but I thought going into it as somebody who doesn't know that much about superhero movies, I thought it was great.
This film, I feel like I keep talking, but it's only because like like I said last week, I go see movies every Tuesday, so I'm constantly seeing these movies and that we're talking about. But this one, I have been watching the Avengers and Marvel movies since I was like 5 years old. Like, I started with the first Iron Man, the very first one, all the way up till now, and they're still going, and it's super fun. But so that's why I was like, as a fan, it was by far the best movie of 2019. But there's so many critiques out there that like it was made for the fans, which is true. Like, it honestly, it
But I
is.
feel like that's fair.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like, you can't.
There are enough individual movies to watch if you don't.
And if you didn't go back and watch the individual movies, and then you go see Avengers, and then you're mad that you don't understand, it's like, well,
you knew what you were
didn't watch the other ones.
So it was like a good like culmination of all 22. Like, would you say?
Yes, I really think so. They had a lot of plot things, like plot twists and like endings that I really thought were surprising. You didn't think that they were going to come, and then they did. And deaths of characters that, you know, makes you cry. I was sitting there because none of my friends like movies. They don't like superhero movies. So I was in the back of the theater all by myself, sitting in the handicap seat that's all by itself, and I was sobbing. Like, when I tell you, I had to go to the bathroom and calm down.
Right.
So that just shows you how great this movie was to me.
It's a good movie. I think it could be Best Picture nominee.
I think so.
Superhero movies, you know, it's like always a little tough, but we'll see.
Well, there you have it. As always, thank you everyone for tuning in to this night's episode of On Screen. We're your hosts. I'm Magee.
I'm John.
I'm Nicole.
I'm Rebekah.
And catch us next week. We will be discussing some of Tarantino's best films. Have a great night.